What's up everybody, welcome to Elevation Dent Company. In today's video, we're going to be fixing this dent on the bedside of this dually. Now this customer is backing his trailer up, jackknifed the trailer, and caused this very large dent that you see here. Now this is a very common dent in the paintless dent repair industry, especially on dualies. So let's get into this repair, see what we got. So almost everybody that's got a dually with a dent like this on the bedside, the first thing they always say is just get in there and pop that dent right out. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. When you have a dent like this that's running down inside of a body line like that, there's a lot of pressure back behind that. This is thicker gauge steel as well, so it's gonna take a lot of heat, a lot of pressure to get up underneath there and get that metal to move. And here's a look at the damage underneath the paintless dent repair light. As you can see, we've got a lot of crown built up in there, and there's a lot of pressure inside that dent. And here's a look at it from the other side. When I get in here and start working on this, I gotta be careful with it because the paint's scratched all the way down to the metal in several different areas. Here's a look at the main tools we're gonna be using for this repair. This is just the Ultra Dent tool with an interchangeable tip. What I've got here is a couple extensions that I just put together. And what I'm gonna do here is just screw this all together, kind of like this. That'll make me for a really long shaft. And the point of that is I plan on coming through the rear tail lamp of this, and I've got all that gap in through there, so by putting that extension on there like that, it's gonna take up for all that space. And on top of this extension, what I'm gonna use here is several different style tips, probably mainly this big one to move a lot of that metal out. And then I'm also gonna use a lot of knockdowns as well. We've got a variety of different styles here, mainly all polished tips. This is a more larger quarter size one, to more smaller ones, to more sharper ones. Of course, a blending hammer and a lot of heat. So I'm gonna get this tail lamp pulled out. I'm gonna try to fix majority of this dent coming in from this angle. With that tail lamp removed, this hole right here is gonna be my main point of access. So what I'm gonna do is just take my tool, come straight inside that hole, and now I'm all over that dent. I'd like to put some glue tabs on this, but I gotta be careful because we're at higher risk with this being cracked paint like this, because if I put glue over any of this area, I have a higher chance of pulling the paint completely off the car. Since I can't do much glue pulling on this, what I've decided to do, I'm actually gonna take my Porta power, I'm gonna put some extensions together, I'm actually gonna shove it up through the frame rail in the inner bedside. And I'm gonna try to position that right here on this body line that you can see running through here. That's where the most of the stress is. And I'm gonna try to get some pressure on the back of that. When doing that, I'm gonna come in through here and beat these crowns out and using a lot of heat. So what I've done here, guys, I got a flat rubber tip on one end, a couple extensions down the center, then I got this L hook, or whatever you wanna call it, on the other end. And I'm gonna shove this part on the frame rail, and I'm gonna put this part up against the back of the metal. All right, I'm up underneath the truck here. I'll show you guys what I got going on here. So basically I put the one side of the Porta power on that end. It's actually on the frame rail. Then I got the other side just right up against the back of the metal of that. And I'm gonna start pumping on this, start applying a little bit of pressure really slow. At the same time, I'm gonna start beating that crown out, see if we can get this metal to start moving around for us. Alright guys, I got a pretty large portion of that dent out just by using that ram. What I'm going to do now is shove my tool in from the back side of that tail lamp pocket. I'm going to come in and start working all this low out down and through here. And I'm going to come through and get this dent out that's up underneath that cracked paint. If you guys ever use a ram like this, just use caution with it. As you can see, these Audis I put down here in the bottom, I almost split the paint down here above that little marker lamp. I thought I had my shoe positioned up here, and really I was down here and I was putting pressure on this panel and I couldn't get no metal to move. But it was just me just not knowing where that ram was. So if you guys ever do something like this, just take caution with it. After I get all this fixed up through here, then I'll come down here in the bottom and I'll tap them high spots down. I did switch up on my tools. I started out with this shorter rod, and then I moved up to this longer one. I was putting a lot of pressure on this, and it just wasn't really moving that metal at all. So I stepped up to this more longer one, still kept the same exact shaft on it. I did take the soft tip off though, and I'm just using the ball right now to work that metal around. All right guys, this thing's coming out pretty good so far. When I was in here and started pushing on that dent there in the center, with that paint being cracked, such a wide gap in through there, the paint's really brittle in there. So when I get in there and start pushing on it, it's starting to separate a little bit more. So it's gonna be left a little bit low because I don't want to get in there and split that paint even worse. All right guys, here's a look at the dent from this area. It's coming out pretty good. We still got a crown left back in through here. I'm gonna get in through here and tap all that out, lay that flat. I've done most of my pushing here with a soft tip on all this. So what I'm gonna do now is come through with a more sharper tip and fill in all these little tiny imperfections, all these little low spots in through here. I'm gonna come through and pick all those up with a more sharper tip tool. I switched my tool tip up to a little bit more sharper tip. I'd like to go even sharper to this, but I can't find my other tip. So right now this will work. What this will do, it'll come in and pick up all these little low spots and all these little imperfections. Like I said, once I get all this out, I'll come through here and I'll knock these high spots out that I created with my Porta power. All right guys, so we got this dent to a good stopping point. What I'm gonna do now is come down through here and tap these high spots out. Once I get that done, I'm gonna come through with some 2000 grit, try to sand some of these lighter scratches out. Obviously these are all down to the paint. A lot of these are down to the paint as well, but some of these little lighter ones, I'm gonna try to sand them out to make it look a little bit better. This is just a work truck, so obviously it doesn't have to be perfect, cracked paint and all that stuff, so we're just trying to make it look a little better here. What I'm gonna use to knock those areas down, I just got a flat, edgy tool tip that's polished, and I just put it on a knockdown tool. Having that blunt tip on there like that, it's gonna allow me to knock a large area of metal down. What I got here is some 2000 grit on a small sanding block. I'm gonna go over these areas and see if I can't buff some of this out. Now I'm gonna buff it out with a 3-inch buffing pad on a DeWalt drill. I'm also using some Meguiar's compound. We're gonna call it here on this dent. Obviously this thing's nowhere near perfect with this split paint. It's really hard to get a job like this to come out really good when you got paint like this that's cracked. I mean, all we can really do is make it look a little bit better. And honestly, that's all the customer wanted anyway. They're actually gonna touch all this up themselves. Got the high spots knocked down below. Those are all out. The bulk of the dent's all gone. It's still got a little bit of low spot in through here and in through here. This is nothing but a work truck, and as you can see, it looks 1,000 times better. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think about this repair in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for some of my upcoming videos. I'll see you guys on the next one. Keep putting in that work, guys. Take care.